Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you're all doing well. To start things off, this actually happened a couple days ago, but it's still very significant. It says Outage gripped the United States as the fourth largest US bank went down for several hours. They're known as Wells Fargo. For those who have never heard of Wells Fargo, they are extremely massive. Wells Fargo confirms it is having system issues that are preventing customers from logging into its mobile app and online banking. A representative could not say how many people were affected. The fourth largest U.S. bank by assets has a sprawling bank operation that reaches coast to coast. So at the time when this actually did end up happening, there wasn't as much information as we actually do have right now. It says it seems different states are being affected differently, but customers were urged not to deposit cash into ATMs as it might not show on their bank accounts. Reports of missing funds are rising. The outage seems to be caused by either a power outage or smoke, or both. It's still not clear. In one of their Minneapolis data centers. This is something that actually happens quite often, and it's something, when it does happen, it's typically, I hate the term mainstream media, but they will typically not cover it, or if they do cover it, it's kind of like a very small story, just simply to kind of, let people, rather, I've always felt that they did for certain things like this just to say that they covered it, because if you don't cover it and people kind of fact check you later on, they go, oh yeah, we didn't talk about it because of so and so and so. So I think they talk about it now to make sure that they can say that they tried to inform other people. But for those who don't know, a lot of the people who actually own some of the largest banks in the entire world also typically own the media, and that's not me being a conspiracy theorist. It just happens to come down to money. When you a lot of the oldest, richest families in the entire world, especially those within the United States, after the steam-powered revolution ended, and buying of railroads and all these other things, you have to look for other things to be able to diversify in. And during the 50s, 60s, and 70s, a lot of families started buying newspaper companies, and these have now all become digital. So this is kind of the way that they go. So typically, what sometimes happens is you can't. If one of your major businesses is not doing too well, you typically just tell the people on your news station, don't really report on this, or do it very lightly and say that it's not as big of a problem as it actually is. It's just kind of how the world works. Like I said, not even speculation or like tinfoil hatty. It's just how money works. You have to diversify, especially when you end up becoming some of the largest families in the entire world. But like I said, this is continuing. I don't know if they are attacks on the banks themselves. I don't know if it's simply just happenstance and these are just happening to happen. Anyway, the point is, these happen so often, but most people don't really pay attention to them, especially if they're told by their bank, oh yeah, it's nothing wrong, so and so and so. It doesn't raise any alarms when it should, because this happens very, very often. You're pretty hard pressed even now, even though cryptocurrencies aren't as large as they actually are, to find a situation where Bitcoin or XRP or even Ethereum are having like outages on their networks. You may have like a backup of transactions, but the networks are still working. Anyway, just thought this was kind of interesting because this keeps popping up, even though this article right here is from 2017. It just shows you how frequent that they could be, because it keeps happening. A lot of people don't really pay attention to them. And I wonder if or when I want to say eventually, but I have a feeling that a lot of the old banks are probably not going to bend, and I think they'll end up disappearing. And I don't mean like all banks are going to disappear. I mean like a lot of banks simply won't want to integrate cryptocurrencies. We've seen this with like Radio Shack and Blockbuster. There are always companies who just don't really see the future, even though it's smacking them in the face, and they just kind of just don't want to go forward with it. So we're going to definitely have a lot of banks in the next 5 to 10 years who won't integrate blockchain or integrate cryptocurrencies, and they're simply going to disappear, because you can't keep having stuff like imagine if you were used to using cryptocurrencies for 4 or 5 years, like on a daily basis, sending money back and forth. You're like, I'll open up a bank account with them, and then that bank account ends up having multiple outages during months. I don't know. Anyway, just thought I'd talk about that for a couple seconds, because it's something that doesn't really make news, or if it does, it's there for maybe a couple of hours. They'll talk about it. It'll scroll on the bottom of the screen, and then it's kind of gone from memory, because the bank and everyone else pretends that it never happened. Kind of interesting. Let's move on. Next up, It was confirmed that XRP will soon be supported on Abra, a platform that allows users to purchase traditional assets using digital currencies. Earlier last week, Abra announced that its users can now buy shares of leading tech giants such as Facebook, Netflix, Google, and Amazon using crypto through the Abra app. Plans are also underway to introduce exchange-traded funds, commodities, and indices, as all of which will be purchasable using virtual currencies. Speaking on the above, Bill Barheit, the CEO of Abra, said that their goal is to develop a single app that offers a comprehensive investment solution for crypto traders. He added that the company will introduce more products in the future as they attempt to democratize the financial services sector. So apparently people went completely insane. Someone was asking the CEO of Abra, are you going to add XRP? The response was affirmative, although Barheit did not give a specific date when XRP will be integrated into the Abra platform. It just happens that it is going to eventually happen. Currently, Abra supports the purchase of shares using Bitcoin, which is also something for... I'm not exactly sure. Maybe this is the 2.0, 2.5, maybe 3.0 of where Wall Street is slowly taking over this is why I think it's so interesting that so many people don't think that people in Wall Street are actually in the cryptocurrency space and that they're somehow like on the sidelines. Because there's been a relative push the last 2 months, and I thought it was just, a really random thing at first, and lo and behold, this is like the 7th or 8th app that we've heard from in the last like 5 weeks that's doing something like this. Everyone is trying to integrate cryptocurrencies into their app as a payment method to be able to buy stocks and shares and mutual funds and so on their platform, which I think is... One, it's kind of cool. It ends up being a use case, even though the use case is just to be used as a payment, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, it's something else that they can be used for. But I think the push is a bit too obvious at this point. I was going to start talking about like a whole like stock market crash and stuff like that, but I guess that can be saved for another video, because I think we're going to enter a very interesting period over the next couple of years, because some of the largest stocks that we have right now aren't faring too well. Like, what was it? Didn't Apple lose like half of their like entire market share, like relatively recent? I can't remember the exact time frame. I was just watching something about it. It was talking about like the fall of iPhones and how Apple has been pushing their iPhones on people every single year, but now the average holder, I think, has their phone for, on average, between like 3 to 4 years, because you don't always need a new phone because they still work even before. And this also comes after the thing that Apple announced, or rather they admitted, what was it, like 5 months ago, that whenever they release a new phone, the older phones they have firmware updates that actually make them slower on purpose. So a lot of the major companies that we have right now aren't doing very well. So it's just kind of interesting that we're entering this space where people are creating things for for traditional markets, to that you're able to buy them with cryptocurrencies, even though it looks like potentially, according to analysts, that in 2019 and 2020, we may see a stock market crash. So I don't know. Crypto is just a very weird place. I think everyone's trying to look for ways to integrate cryptocurrencies into their platforms in whichever way that they can. But on that note, let us move on. This should come as no surprise to anyone. Data from monitoring source 1ML confirms that the number of active nodes, channels, and overall transaction capacity of Lightning are all now higher than ever in its 13-month history. The increase in size comes as Lightning gains publicity beyond the Bitcoin technical community, thanks to a user-driven initiative getting others familiarized with how the network works. Here's the actual thing. First of all, I don't know if it actually has it in here. No, it doesn't have it. So before we get to that chart, we were talking about the other day, the CEO of Twitter held the Lightning torch, which is something that's being passed around on Twitter and is gaining notoriety because, like I mentioned months ago, we needed something like this, and we have some of the largest people in the entire world who are using it, and then people were asking Elon Musk to do it. I assume that was a no because he didn't respond back, or rather he has not yet done it. But I think the last person to hold it of great significance was, oh my gosh, I had his name and then I lost it. I almost said Richard Pryor. I know it's not Richard Pryor. It's the guy from those insurance commercials. His name is gone from my head. Anyway, the point is a lot of other celebrities. Richard Shatner. Is that it? Shatner? I think it's Shatner. Let's say Shatner. He, I think, is the latest one, like the major celebrities who actually hold on to the lightning torch. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome that he's holding it, because he also announced before in 2018 that he was just mining Bitcoin. We have a lot of Bitcoin maximalists coming out of the woodworks. And this is another reason, not financial advice, why I keep saying I don't think Bitcoin, as in the number one coin, not the other clones that we have out there, I don't think Bitcoin is going anywhere, because there's a lot of big money that's slowly like popping their heads out of the ground, like announcing that they're obsessed with Bitcoin and that they only hold Bitcoin. I don't know. I mentioned this before. This was, I think, even like a precursor to this channel or something like that, where there was something with the head of, Virgin Megastore doesn't really exist all over the place anymore, but Virgin Airlines and stuff like that. I can't remember his name. I'm not going to even try to go through my head to try to find his name. He announced, this was years ago, that he was trying to, Branson, I think it's Richard Branson. He was trying to, he was having like a secret meeting on his island somewhere in the Bahamas. And I was like, that seems kind of weird, because he was inviting all the Bitcoin, devs and stuff like that at the time. This was like 2012, 2013. Anyway, the point is, a lot of the big money floating around, they are obsessed with Bitcoin, and they're also starting to promote Bitcoin in their own little, I guess, weird way. We all have our own little ticks and stuff like that. But it would do, maybe it has to do with regulation. This is probably something that I didn't even think about before. I've sat here wondering time and time again why we have big names in the industry who don't kind of come forward and they're like, Bitcoin's the best, just buy Bitcoin, or so-and-so is the best, you need to just buy this coin. But I have a feeling it has to do, it's a very gray line with the SEC or the CFTC or all the other letters, because I don't even know the full implications of them actually doing that, so I can only assume. Anyway, the point is, if we ever had, like, if Jack Dorsey, like, came forward and was like, can you imagine him posting on Twitter, like, everyone buy Bitcoin right now, and then if we had, like, whoever these 12 women are on Instagram who have like millions of followers, if they all announce the exact same thing, like what that would do for prices and stuff. Anyway, I'm getting completely off track. I'm thinking about celebrities and cryptocurrencies, but these people have such a huge amount of like push. I think any bear market that we were in would be over in about a good 18 and a half hours if we had all the major celebrities in the world promoting Bitcoin and telling people to go buy Bitcoin. Anyway, the actual chart is right here. This is over the last like couple of weeks. This isn't. I don't even think this is even a full month at this point. We're up 14% in the number of nodes, 115% in the number of new nodes, 26% in the number of new channels, 98. I mean, it's actually staggeringly interesting exactly how quick that the Lightning Network is moving. For those, once again, who may be relatively new, we had this in 2018. The Lightning Network launched around January. Nobody was using it. And some reason around the end of 2018, everyone became obsessed with the Lightning Network. It's interesting to note over here, it says there are 975,517 channels left. So I think only 2% of the actual channels have been used. Where's the actual number? Yeah. So if you kind of, where is it? Yeah, if you throw this number right here into this, you get 1 million channels. So only around 2.4% of the actual channels are being used at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what happens when at the current speed, I could see this happening by the end of this year or sometime in the middle of next year, when we get to like 24, 25% channel countdown, like the number of channels is like, so you kind of get what I'm saying. When we are more robust. There was a thing on here that I don't have in this video because I had too many tabs open anyway. And it noted that even with the current situation of where the Lightning Network is, we have the capability of being as quick or as useful or as large as some of the other payment methods, payment platforms that we already have around the world. this is moving a lot quicker than I ever thought that it was going to. I mean, I thought not that Lightning was dead, but it was just kind of like it was going to go at a glacial pace. Lo and behold, it's going incredibly quick. I am, how do you say, I'm excited to see exactly where we are by this summer. Any type of bullish movement upward that we are going to have is going to push these numbers very, very high. Still waiting on a company out there, hint, hint, to create a relatively inexpensive node that you can have at home next to your computer. Hint, hint, would like to have one or a couple because I want to support the network. Anyway, let's move on. So this is, I'll explain it. U.S. SEC Commissioner, her name is Hester Pierce. Her latest speech shows she is still pushing hard with her colleagues on a Bitcoin ETF approval and crypto-friendly token sale regulation. Hot on the heels of the Securities and Exchange Commission Commissioner Robert J. Jackson Jr.'s interview, my gosh, that whole sentence, with U.S. Capital News outlet Roll Call, my goodness, in which he shared his thoughts on a Bitcoin ETF being approved eventually. The crypto market has gleaned further insight into the SEC's thinking from fellow Commissioner Hester Pierce. She said in a speech delivered at the University of Missouri School of Law to a gathering mulling over the subject of protecting the public while fostering innovation and entrepreneurship, first principles of optimal regulation. She has some critical words for her fellow commissioners and encouraging ones for crypto enthusiasts. It all adds up to good news for crypto. Pierce indicated that she has crypto's investors' collective backs as she continues to push her colleagues on crypto exchange traded products and crypto-friendly token sale regulation. People keep calling her crypto mom. I don't know how that got started. I refuse to ever call her that. I think it's a little creepy. Hester Pierce has been one of our only real advocates in the SEC for quite some time. Tired of looking at her photo. For quite some time. Well, she was staring at me. It's kind of weird. So it's nice to hear that we have someone in the background who is kind of there for us, especially because it's very frustrating because the SEC can't kind of get it together, but it's nice to know that there's at least one person behind the scenes who is there for us. She also said this, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I'm going to see if I can actually find the actual text. Discussing the current delays in delivering a clearer legal framework for crypto, Pierce said that the ambiguity is not that bad. She further explained by stating, "We might be able to draw clearer lines once we see more blockchain projects mature. Delay in drawing lines may actually allow more freedom for the technology to come into its own." Yeah, no. So part of the, when I show, I like that we have an advocate in the SEC. That's wonderful. I think that's a gleaming beacon of hope that we should all aspire to maybe be, probably not. What I have a problem with is that the lack of the word regulation was shoved down our throats throughout 2018. That was the thing that we had to comply with, that we had to do, that we had no say. And if we didn't conform with regulation, we were bad guys. We were horrible. We were drug peddlers. We were all these things that all these different companies and organizations and institutions and governments were calling us. Any delay any further in crypto regulation that we have pretty much all incorporated into our minds that's going to happen is probably only going to hurt the cryptocurrency space a bit more, because when you don't know what you can't do or can do, you don't do anything. There are so many companies right now that wanted to launch, that should have launched, that could have launched, but they haven't because we don't have any regulatory framework and we don't even know what's considered a security and what is not a security and how this is going to be treated, if this is going to be covered by the IRS or if it's going to be the CFTC. So the delay in crypto regulation, it may not be Hester Pierce. I'm never in the room for these conversations. But everyone else in these rooms knows exactly what they're doing. They know that they are pushing down cryptocurrency prices or causing the prices to not be able to move. It's kind of frustrating because you can't even, I mean, maybe you can, like an actual, like this is clearly crypto market regulation, manipulation. I was looking at the word regulation. This is clearly market manipulation that they say that they were trying to stop, but when, like, so many companies have been shut down we had what was it, like several hundred last year, and that's not including the over 1,000 coins that are now completely dead or gone because no one's actually using their platforms and they were all scams from the get-go. But any other legitimate company who's trying to come forward and create something, they can't do it because you have to go through the SEC and all these other letters, and they refuse to provide any type of clarity. So I don't really think, I'm scratching my head as well, that the lack of movement in 2018 from governments around the world allowed for more freedom for the technology. It was just allowing more lawsuits and stuff like that, and all these people who were being persecuted and prosecuted for things that they hadn't really even done. Remember that situation in 2018 where the platform Augur, they had, like, you know, someone created the platform, obviously, and then they allowed, it was like a prediction market. It still is a prediction market. Why someone's throwing paper out the window? It was a prediction market. That was really weird. The point is that we had these situations where governments were talking about being able to prosecute the person who created the Augur platform because of the things that were actually on the website, where people were creating, you know, prediction platforms for really weird things and talking about like governments and stuff like that. Anyway, I mean, once again, on a tangent, crypto is such a confusing, multifaceted place, and it doesn't really have to be. Can you imagine if in imagine the middle of 2018, when all these governments were talking about giving us regulation, if they had actually done what they said they were going to do and just gave us regulation and let us know exactly what was going to happen to cryptocurrencies, like how different of a space we would actually have. I still believe that they're doing all of this in my heart, in my mind, because there are certain people who probably are obsessed with the old ways. They probably think that crypto has no future at all, and they are trying to see if crypto is going to die in some sort of way. Because if you really wanted to, first of all, it is incredibly easy. All the SEC had to do, and I mean all they had to do, was just declare everything a security in 2018 and say, we're going to go along from here, but as of now, it appears that everything falls under our jurisdiction. And from here, you know, every couple of months, we're going to, you know, actually look into certain coins and tell us, you know, exactly what's going on. But they've done none of that. So I don't think it's allowing more freedom at all. I think it's actually terrifying a lot of people from even getting into the cryptocurrency space. Remember the situation also in 2018, because it also happened in 2017, where people weren't or they weren't aware that they even had to pay taxes, or they didn't have their information for the tax thing, or that they did. It was all these things because no one knows who they have to pay, who they have to answer to. So I think it's just scaring more people away from cryptocurrency, and it's not allowing the technology or the market to actually build up at all. It's just becoming this, like, anyway, I think I'm done rambling, because I'm at my wit's end when it comes to, I guess more specifically, just the US at this point. I'm actually pretty happy with the way that the rest of the world is handling it. Like, other countries, they gave us a time frame, and we, you know, the last, what was it, 25, 30 videos, we had at least 13, 14, 15 countries who came forward, and they told us exactly what they were going to do with crypto. It's just one big elephant in the room that's not really giving clarity. I feel like crypto would just move forward if they just said everything was a security, because this is what the SEC said that they assumed that they all were before, but nothing's written in stone. Yeah. So this one, I guess, is also kind of interesting. It says one of the largest banks in the Philippines is reportedly launching a two-way cryptocurrency ATM that is in compliance with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas specifications. In the Philippines, the central bank regulates cryptocurrencies when used for delivery of financial services, particularly for payments and remittances. Union Bank of the Philippines, or Union Bank, okay, one of the largest banks in the country with over 300 branches, is reportedly launching a crypto ATM. The Philippine Star reported on Wednesday that this machine will be the country's first crypto ATM that complies with the rules set by the central bank. I'm not saying that word again. The project is part of the Philippines government's regulatory sandbox. The bank says it has been collaborating with the BSP to provide Filipinos with innovative solutions. There's people walking by the bank. Union Bank said in a statement, in the bank's continued quest to cater to the evolving needs and tastes of customers, including clients who use virtual currency, the ATM will provide these clients an alternative channel to convert their pesos to virtual currency and vice versa. I thought it said to prevent their pesos to virtual currency, and I had no idea what that meant. No specific coins were mentioned in the announcement. So kind of cool that we're going to have more of these. I think it great that we have more cryptocurrency ATMs getting out there. Especially, I believe these are going to be like back and forth ATMs as well, which is going to be incredibly interesting. I want to see, first of all, and this goes back to the conversation I always have. Why is a bank getting into cryptocurrency unless they already own cryptocurrencies themselves? Even though no coins have been announced, I'm going to assume that the coins that they are going to announce, they probably hold a very significant portion of these coins. It is still kind of cool, but you have to think in the back of your head, you have to at least have this little spark going off. If banks hate cryptocurrencies so much and they don't think that they're really going to go anywhere, why would you promote cryptocurrencies or create, 300 crypto ATMs or something like that, whatever the case might be? I think it's, it's fairly clear where cryptocurrency is going at this point. We have banks creating cryptocurrency ATMs. They wouldn't be doing this unless they saw some type of a crack or cracks in their system. That is the traditional financial system. But you kind of get the point. I think it's going to take a very long time before we hear like a JP Morgan or a Bank of America or even like a Deutsche Bank cryptocurrency ATM, but very good on this Union Bank for kind of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to all of this madness. It's kind of this. I'm so tired of this popping up on the website. That's definitely going to do it for this video. Cryptocurrency prices aren't doing too bad at the moment. Not really. I'm surprised that we got out of the weekend in the green. We typically are completely in the red right now. So Bitcoin is also, earlier it was up above 3,700, which is apparently the number that we need to hit. Let's hope for a super green week. Litecoin was also, that's also been wiped out. Litecoin was up like 6-7% a little while ago. Guess that kind of went away for some reason. Anyway, let's hope that the rest of the market continues to go up as the week goes on. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day. Hope you all are having a great Monday, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's fantastic. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Anthony Charles, Yasha Harari, Gordon Nikic, Travis Haynes, Nick Mangialavori, Professor Wally from Gunbot University, Arthur Yaku, L. Doug, Brady Nields, Rai, Gil, Boa Snake, and Vlad the Impaler. Thank you all very much for your generosity. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all soon. See you.